going on, guys? Riley here from RP Productions, and today we're going to be going over the top 10 cars I have reviewed and driven here on the YouTube channel. So I've been doing car reviews for about the last year and a half, and I've been able to build up a decent portfolio full of a bunch of really cool cars. Now, the way I ranked each one of these vehicles goes off of several different factors. Number one being their fun to drive factor, number two being the value for the money factor, and number three, their quickness. With that being said, I kind of took an average of all three of those categories, kind of combined them together, thought about each experience and how I felt after driving each vehicle, and came up with this top 10 list. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, before I continue, I will let you guys know that the Dodge Challenger or Charger Scat Pack is not going to be on this list, just to prevent me from being biased and ranking that above something else. So both of those vehicles will not be on this list, but everything else that I've driven was eligible for this list. So starting this list off at number 10 is the only SUV I have reviewed on the channel, the 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit Edition. The Summit starts at about $55,000, and I went ahead and ranked it at number 9 in terms of value and a 10 in terms of quickness. It was the absolute slowest vehicle I have reviewed on the channel. 0 to 60 times come in just over 7 seconds, and quarter-mile times come in at about 15.5 seconds. So by no means is this a quick vehicle, although I do think it is a really nice vehicle for the money you're paying for. The interior was just beautiful in that car. It actually drives pretty well. It actually corners pretty well, which I was really surprised to find. But overall, that is my absolute favorite SUV on the market. It's just a lot of bang for your buck in terms of an SUV. Number 9 is Coda 5.0's 2014 5.0 Mustang. Used 5.0 Mustangs are really cheap to come across nowadays, so in terms of value I ranked this one a 7, and in terms of quickness I ranked it a 6. With the modifications that Dakota did to this Mustang, he was running 0 to 60 times at about 4 flat and the quarter mile in the mid to high 11-second range with a good tire. This was in fact the first manual vehicle I reviewed here on the channel, and it was absolutely a ton of fun driving that car. My one major complaint with that vehicle was that the tires were not so good, and so the handling abilities were quite hindered because of that. Had that car been on some better tires, I may have enjoyed it a little bit more, but the way it was handed to me, I still had a ton of fun, and overall those, 2011 to 2014 5.0 Mustangs, they are great cars, especially for the money. They're really good bang for your buck vehicles if you're looking to go fast for a cheap price. Coming in at number 8 on my list is the 2012 Porsche Panamera. Now, this car I didn't get the chance to do a formal review on it, but I did compare it directly to my 2014 Dodge Charger RT back in the day. This car's sticker price was $90,000, which is why I'm going to put it dead last in terms of value, so it gets a 10 for value and a 9 for quickness. The only vehicle slower was the Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit. The Panamera 0 to 60 were in the high 5-second range, and the quarter mile was in the high 13-second range. It still is a relatively quick car, but for $90,000, there's a lot better buys out there on the market. The entire time I was with that car, I just couldn't get over the price, and I was like, man, I just can't justify spending this much money for this vehicle when really the performance is not that great. That's not to say it's not a nice car, because it is. I just think there's a lot better out there for the money, and that's kind of why it was really hard for me to do, a more positive review on that car. Number 7 is the 2016 Chevrolet Camaro 2SS that I reviewed in comparison with the Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, and ultimately decided on buying a Scat Pack. That Camaro was a really nice car, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing that review. In terms of value, I went ahead and ranked it at a 5. The sticker price on that vehicle was $48,000. And in terms of quickness on vehicles I have reviewed, I gave it a 7. 0 to 60 happened in about 4 seconds flat, and the quarter mile happens in the low 12-second range. A couple complaints about that car was that the road noise was pretty unbearable. It's really small, kind of hard to see out of. Other than those negatives, it really was a really positive experience, and I really enjoyed that car. And hey, I actually wouldn't mind having one of those to this date. They really are solid cars, so this is by no means to knock that vehicle, but there are still some better ones here on the list. So one slot up from that Camaro, I went ahead and put number 6 for the 2015 Chevrolet Corvette. The Corvette was another vehicle that was a ton of fun to drive. The sticker price on that vehicle was about $60,000, so in terms of value, I went ahead and ranked it at number 8, but in terms of quickness, it comes in at a solid 5. The 0 to 60s are in the high 3-second range, and the quarter mile is in the high 11-second range, so it is definitely no slouch in terms of a performance vehicle. A few problems I have with that car, and it's just me being picky. A, you're sitting practically on the ground when driving it, so you gotta be, kind of adjusted to sitting that low while driving. And also, it is a relatively small interior, which I can't say I'm a huge fan of. At that $60,000 price range, I still think there's much better buys out there, which is why I was kind of harsh in terms of the value on that vehicle, but still, nonetheless, it's a great vehicle if you're looking for that type of thing. Now, to finish off my Chevrolet swing, coming in at number 5, we have Ryan's 2015 2SS Camaro that had a cam and a few bolt-ons. This review was a ton of fun to make. We tried to do something a little bit different and kind of venture out of the very serious car review style. It got mixed feedback, so I'm not sure if I'll ever do a review in that style again, but nonetheless, it was a fun video to make and a super fun car to drive. So with the way that car sat, it was probably about $30,000. So in terms of value, I gave it a 6, and in terms of quickness, I give it a 4. The 0 to 60s were in the mid to high 3-second range, and the quarter mile was in the mid 11-second range. That car for sure was fast. That was definitely enough to sit you back in your seat and really make your eyes perk up. That was a ton of fun spending the day with that car. It was just, you know, that was a really great experience. Only negatives I have, once again, small interior and that whole type of thing. The interior on that car was not as nice as the 2016 Camaros, so I have to give it, you know, one worse in terms of value, but overall that was still an amazing car. A ton of fun. Honestly, I wish I could have owned that vehicle, but unfortunately, like I said, Ryan did sell it, but somebody out there is now a happy camper driving around in that thing. Now we're moving up into the top 4 vehicles that I have reviewed. Now is where things get kind of fun. This is where all the good stuff is, so let's see what I put at number 4. Now number 4 is probably going to surprise a lot of people. Coming in at number 4, we have the 2015 BMW M235i. Now this car definitely did not make it up this high on the list in terms of quickness. I rated it an 8 in terms of quickness, with a 0 to 60 at 4.3 seconds and a quarter mile at 12.9. But why it did rank so high on this list is because I had so much fun driving that car and it was so well balanced. The value for this car, I ranked it at number 4, just like the overall rank on this car. And once again, the balance of that car was absolutely perfect. It was so much fun to drive. It actually handles like a dream. The interior was kind of lacking. It wasn't super nice in there, but what was nice was everything was purely functional. It's a great driver's car. You could daily drive that thing. It's just a perfect daily drivable, you know, sporty car, and the price on it is not that bad either, coming in at $47,000. I mean, it's a pretty good deal when you really take in all things to consider. I know this one's going to surprise a lot of people, but man, I really did earn a lot of respect for the M-Series cars from BMW after driving that one. And yes, I am aware that's not a true M-Series car, but it's pretty darn close, and I can only imagine how the new M2 drives. Alright, here's where everybody gets mad at me. Coming in at number 3, we have the 2016 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. The reason this vehicle is not ranked at number 1 or 2 is probably due to the fact that was a 6-speed manual Challenger. I think if that vehicle was an 8-speed automatic, I would have enjoyed the experience a little bit more. Overall, I wasn't a huge fan of the clutch nor the gear shifter in that vehicle, but still, it was a ton of fun driving that car. Coming in at $65,000, I ranked it at number 3 in terms of value, and I ranked it at 2 in terms of quickness, with 0 to 60 times coming in the mid 3-second range, and the quarter mile coming in the low 11-second range. It's definitely a quick car, and it's so much fun to drive that vehicle. It really is. I'm really anxious to get my hands on an automatic Hellcat and see how that compares and see if my opinions change after driving that. But after driving the manual, I wasn't a huge fan of the manual setup itself, but still a very fun car. The interior on that vehicle with the nice brown leather was super nice. The seats hold you in nice. I mean, it really was a really positive experience. But at number 1 and number 2, they're 2 vehicles I had more fun in and enjoyed more. 2 is a car I have ranked at number 1 in terms of value. So this was the absolute best bang for your buck car I have ever driven, and that is the 2016 Mustang GT with the Roush supercharger on top that's making 670 horsepower. This car's price tag was only $43,000, which is why, once again, it is ranked number 1 in terms of value. I mean, 670 horsepower for $43K, you just can't beat that. In terms of quickness, that vehicle ranks at the number 3 slot, with 0 to 60s coming in the mid 3-second range, and the quarter mile is 11.2, 11.3 is what I've been told. Now, a lot of people ask me, what was faster, the Hellcat or this Mustang? And it's really hard to tell. I think a lot of it would depend on, if one vehicle is an automatic or one's a manual, who is the better driver. It depends on a lot of variables, but overall I think the Hellcat is a little bit faster if you're driving with an automatic Hellcat. but still they're very close, and it would be really fun to see those two next to each other in a race. I thoroughly enjoyed the clutch and the gear shifter in that car, which is why I enjoyed driving that vehicle more than the Hellcat. You know, the visibility is fine out of that vehicle, they look really nice, they handle great. It's just overall a really well set up vehicle. It really is a balanced car, just kind of like that BMW I mentioned earlier, and it is a ton of fun, which is why I ranked it here at number 2. In the number 1 slot, I have saved the best for last. It is the 2016 Tesla P90D with ludicrous mode. The reason I'm giving the Tesla the number 1 slot is because in terms of quickness, it is the fastest car I have ever driven at 0 to 60 times of 2.6 seconds. Now, the only other vehicles out there that attain speeds that quickly from 0 to 60 are all supercars and hypercars that cost way more than the Tesla. So that kind of goes in hand with the value. I ranked it at a 2 in terms of value, at $108,000 starting price with that car. Quarter mile times on that car come in at about 10.9 seconds. So it is faster than a Hellcat, it is faster than that Roush Mustang. So once again, fastest car I've ever driven, the most expensive car I've ever driven, but overall probably the most fun car I've ever driven, just because that electric power comes on instantly when you put your foot on the gas, and man, that 0 to 60, that was truly a feeling I will never forget, and it was just overall an incredible experience. The interior on that car is also pretty darn nice. You just basically got some giant iPad you can play with there on the dash, and that basically controls everything with the car. The exterior styling on it looks really nice. It is a sedan, so you got 4 doors, you got plenty of room for stuff. I mean, it's a really practical vehicle. It's fast, it's fun, it's just overall the number 1 pick here from RP Productions. So there you have it, guys, my top 10 vehicles I have driven and reviewed here on the YouTube channel. I hope to do a video like this probably once every year as I keep continuing to attain more vehicles to review for you guys. So maybe next year at about this time in the year, I can update this list and we can see where these vehicles rank then. Also, let me know, where do you think the Scat Pack ranks in this list? None of these reviews would be possible without the help from all of you guys for supporting me, watching the channel, and liking the videos and sharing with your friends. So I truly want to thank each and every one of you for sticking around, watching all my videos, and giving me the love and support that you have been giving me. I truly love doing this, and I have no plans of stopping, so once again, thank each and every one of you. It really means a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave in the comments what you would change in terms of my rankings. If you think something should be higher or lower, go ahead and comment that. I want to hear what you guys would rank these 10 vehicles and how you guys think I did with ranking them. Once again, thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take it easy.